Welcome to Being Curious podcast show, proudly supported by Moss Skin, a UK-based skincare line infused with sea moss. Good morning, my name is Cornetta Williams Walker. Welcome to Being Curious. This morning, I'm going to be talking to Jennifer Greenidge, who is a jobbing actor who's going to tell us about her story and journey. This podcast is about human experiences. We don't always get where we need to get in a straight road or a straight line. And so Jennifer's going to help us and invite us to explore with her journey as an actor. So good morning, Jennifer. It's lovely to see you this morning.
Good morning. I'm well, thanks. Nice to be here.
Tell us about yourself. How did you begin? How did you start in terms of you as a person, in terms of being a creative, being an actor?
Yeah, I've always been creative. I used to sing from very young. The first time I can recall myself singing was in a group, and I was the lead singer. I can't remember the group's name, but there was 3 ladies in it. No, it wasn't the Supremes.
It wasn't the Supremes?
No, it wasn't the Supremes.
From a young age?
So from a young age, I used to be singing and just singing at mother's house. She was a lady who used to look after loads of children. And we used to just sing and enjoy, life. And, I had that in me growing up. But I never really looked at acting. I don't know why. I never really looked at acting, but I was always creative. So, sorry, go on.
No, you're saying that you never kind of considered acting.
No.
So why was singing easier than acting? Or did you know any actors growing up? Because I wonder, I'm not sure how old you are, but I wonder,
I didn't really. No, I didn't. I really didn't know any working actors at the time. I wouldn't say that there was anybody in the community who I could really say, oh, I'd like to be like that person kind of thing. But I knew I could sing, and I knew others could sing. I think it was kind of like an easier choice for me, really.
That's really lovely for you to say, I knew I could sing. What was it about singing at that point in your life that you knew that you was good at?
Because they would always push me to the front to be the lead.
Yeah.
She sang the most. And I suppose at that time, because I was around 7, 8 years old, my voice, because she had quite a high-pitched voice. I really wish I could remember the group, but I can't remember the group. There was, as I said, there's 3 ladies, but it's not the Supremes. Yeah. So I knew that, well, I must be special. If they always put me to sing that role, then I must be good. So I always knew that, I had a good voice. But as I got older, my voice kind of changed. I was still a good singer, but my voice kind of changed. Yeah, I didn't have the high pitched. Yeah.
So how did you get into acting? So you went from being a singer. You said that you were creative, and so did you do other things other than singing, or was creative being a singer? That was the thing that you really enjoyed.
That was creative was being a singer. I had my sons. And then when I had my sons, I decided I needed to do something with my life. So I went to uni and I studied youth work. But once graduated and going into, working life, I felt it just wasn't for me. I played several roles in the prison system, in mental health. I just knew there was something amiss. There was something.
So you kind of did the traditional thing of going to uni, getting a job, and you did different roles in the prison system. And within mental health.
Yeah.
What was it then? What was it that alerted you that you weren't happy or you needed to kind of change the direction of your life?
I have a friend that I grew up with, and she lives in California. She visited, her family was still in the UK. So she visited and she wanted to meet up. So we met up and we was just talking about stuff. And she was like, I've always thought that you were such a big and massive character. I always thought you might go into acting. And I was like, really? She was like, yeah. I was like, oh, because I was pushing 40 now. And I'm like, man, I'm too old for that. And she was like, are you mad? No. You know, I really feel like, and to be honest, it was something I was thinking about, because I am a bit of a big character. I'm good at making people laugh and stuff like that. But there was just something that resonated with our conversation, that when I left that conversation and came home, I started to inquire about going to drama school, because I knew that the job that I was in, I was done. I was done.
It was at a transition point where you had met a friend, had this conversation.
Yeah.
And there was something about what she was saying that kind of resonated with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But most people don't do anything about that, do they? Most people kind of like the idea, but you decided, okay, I'm going to go to drama school.
Yeah. I went.
How old were you at that time?
I was 40.
I was 40.
I was 40 when I started drama school. Yeah.
So why 40? What was it about being 40 that gave you the confidence to change your direction? Or was it because you were 40 that you thought, actually, I need to do something different in my life?
I don't know whether it was whether I was. I don't think it had anything to do with my age. To be honest with you, I was a bit disappointed that I waited so long.
Really?
And at that time, at 40, I was going into a drama school where they were all in their 20s. You had the odd one that was in their 30s, just a little behind me. But mainly, they were mainly young. None of them, one or two had kids, one or two. But generally, you had young people.
How did that feel? How did that feel going into college or starting again, and you're surrounded by younger energy, and maybe the oldest ones there at that time would have been their 30s, and then you are the oldest person there?
Yeah.
Why didn't that put you off? Why did that propel you forward then?
Because, to be honest, when I went in at 40, no one knew I was 40. They were all thinking that I was in my early 30s. It wasn't until like when you started to get to know people that they were like, what? You know, they couldn't believe that I was that age. And I think that you can really learn a lot. I mean, I had to relearn myself. Tell
me about that. You're saying you had to relearn yourself.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Because I remember one day I was doing an exercise in the class, and I was still working in mental health. The drama school I went to was part-time. So I went twice a week in the evenings. And if anybody wants to know, it's called Identity Drama School. And I was with them for 5 years. So I went in and we were doing an exercise. And the exercise was generally someone was shouting at me and they were having an argument. And it was an exercise where I just needed to react. And I didn't react. I didn't react because in my normal day, in my normal life, I work with people that shout at me all the time. So for me, that was normal. So when we finished the exercise, the teacher said, "What happened there?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And they was like, "No, what happened? Because you didn't react at all." I said, "Well, in my day-to-day job," there's like, "No, it's not your day-to-day job. What will Jennifer do if somebody is screaming at her like that? We're not talking about your job. You are an actor now. And as an actor, you are supposed to feel what."
Tell me a bit about that then.
Yeah.
You say that you was in a job where lots of people were shouting, but it sounds to me from, obviously, my background, I'm a psychotherapist.
Yeah.
It sounds to me that you got frozen in your background.
Yeah,
and
you get desensitized.
Attributed that to being used to that. But was that an early part of you being used to that, like a younger part of you? Or is that just the job? You were just used to people shouting. And did you feel anything, even though you weren't able to express anything verbally?
Yeah, I did feel, but I disconnected, because that's what you do when somebody's shouting. You're trying to kind of calm them down within the job space. But if you're with your partner, because that's what the actual, scene was, you're gonna have a dig back. You're gonna maybe you attack back. You're gonna say things that maybe you shouldn't say. You may do things. You may cry. You may, you know what I mean? So, but there was nothing.
See, that's interesting. Was it because you were being looked at and watched during that time? You said that there was nothing, but there was clearly, you also said that there was something going on inside.
Yeah.
But you also was in a fishbowl, I assume, because you had other people watching you and being observed. Do you think that also shut you down as well?
No. I was not frightened. I was always one of those people that would volunteer to do things, because I was very ready to learn and understand, but that was at that point I knew I had to leave my job.
So that's a big jump. So you go to drama school, you have this experience, and then the feedback from your tutor says, "Hey, look, you're not responding in a way that I need you to."
Yeah.
And then why was that? How did you link that to actually, I've got to move on and leave my job? What was it about that particular experience, that you felt that you couldn't do the two things at the same time?
Yeah, I knew that being in the job that I was doing, that was a profession. So I'm either a mental health worker or I'm an actor. And if I'm an actor, I can't have a job like that, because working in a role such as that doesn't allow me to break down the walls that I've put up for myself over the years. And it doesn't allow me to grow, because I'm always having to jump back into that stern-faced, or even just being desensitized to somebody shouting and screaming at me, and just, making excuses for it or whatever. So I knew that for me to progress in acting, I couldn't be in that job anymore.
So that's really interesting, but also a really brave thing to do.
Yeah.
Because I assume you're then 40. Not only have you had a conversation with a friend that took you on a journey of something that you wanted to do.
Yeah.
You get there and you realise, actually, for me to be able to take this seriously, I need to change. I need to change the way. Just holding that thought then, how did that impact your daily life? Having to think about work, how to think about to navigate that space. You say you got children. what did that look like? Because I can assume that not everyone around you is an actor.
No.
So how did you kind of, I don't know, work through that with friends or family?
I must say that I have never been scared of moving on to the next. People, friends, family have said that I'm really brave like that. I don't fear. If I know this is not right, then I'm not staying there. You know, the worst thing you can do is sit down in a hole and know that you're going deeper and deeper into this hole and not try to climb out of it. Because
so for you're a person that says, once you know that this is not for me,
I'm gone.
Move on. So where does that come from? How do you get to that point? Because I work with people where they struggle to do that next step, that connect to that next opportunity, or even though that they might want it. Or I know myself, it's taken me 5 years to move from one part of the country to the next. And that was loads of conversations to myself.
Yeah.
What is it that you tap into that enables you to be able to do that?
I don't really know. I've always been quite, spontaneous in life. Some negative, but generally positively. I feel if I feel it's right, and I know that I can move on, even though I'm being advised not to, I will just do it. And in acting, I'm an actor first. And that's what the important thing is. You have to be an actor first. There are so many times where I've had conversations with people and they've said, why don't you get a proper job? No, this is a job. It may not be like the conventional way of going and applying, but I still audition which is me applying, right? So you have to, just be brave and know that I'm an actor first.
I think that is amazing because, there's something about what you're saying is around resilience, and you see yourself and embody yourself as an actor first.
Absolutely.
And so therefore, because of that, you then, the whole processes of acting and preparing for auditions is part of your job. But where do you get that resilience from? Because lots of actors, singers, professionals who are creative, are rejected time and time again. How do you pick yourself up? Because that you really do have to be tough.
It takes time. I mean, I remember when I first started, when I left drama school and then I decided, right, it's time for me to find an agent. I didn't find the right agent straight away. I went through 2 agents first within a year. And then the agent that I'm with now, I found them and I auditioned. And when I auditioned, she said to me, there are 2 types of actors. There's one, they get an agent and then they start getting auditions and they fly. And then there are other actors who they get an agent and it takes them a bit of time, but they get there. She says, along the way, some people will give up. So this job is survival of the fittest.
Oh.
And you just have to know your worth. And at the end of the day, just know that whatever audition you get, you're going to do your best and then forget it.
There's a couple of things here when I'm listening to you. I can hear the fact that there is a real sense of self-esteem or self-worth, that once you know what something's right for you, you follow the process. But then also there's something about you taking on guidance. Like you listen well as well. Like with your drama teacher, your friends, your your agent, you've been able to take on board the feedback. But have there been times where it hasn't worked? Have there been times where you've doubted yourself, given that lots of people think, all right, you need to be doing the conventional and just doing things that everyone else does?
I mean, there are times where you feel a bit low. And I think what has helped me is I have a group of actor friends. We are all in the same boat. We all know, they know how I feel. Although I have my friends and family that I can go to, there's no one that can understand me but them, than those, my group. And I mean a WhatsApp group. I've not seen some of these guys for 6-7 years. But when I'm feeling like I'm done with this, I can't do this anymore, it's ridiculous, they like, and tomorrow you'll feel better. This is the life of an actor. And they draw me back in. And we do that to each other. They'll come in, no, not today. And we will draw each other back in. It's all right.
Are you able just to say a particular time in your journey where you really felt like that? And what was it about that experience that you needed to kind of lean into your friendships?
I was going for audition after audition after audition, and I wasn't hearing anything back because, as you know, if you do an audition, if you're successful, then you get a recall, and if you're not, you don't get anything. Nobody calls you. So I was just getting nothing. And then we were sending voice notes back to each other. And I was like, guys, you know what? I'm really feeling it today. I feel really down. I just feel really like I need like a plan B. I just don't know. I was just ranting, and I just felt really, and it was really funny that day. I got a call from my agent saying that one of my auditions was successful and I got the role. But you get really low, you get disappointed, but you must have a unit of friends. You've got to. There's only 4 of us in the group.
Yeah.
There's only 4 of us in the group.
No, but you all understand each other. So you've been doing this for like the past 7 years, and you all understand each other, the process. And so when you're struggling, they bring you back in, and you bring you back.
Yeah.
So what was the gig that you got then? What did you get in terms of the
it's a small role. It's something that's coming out this year. It's something that's coming out this year.
Are you able to share, or do you have to keep it close to chest? I don't know. What do actors do? What's in the world of acting? What happens?
It was a very small role on something called Anansi Boys, and it's out in April, I think. I don't know. It's taking its time. I have no clue. But yes, it's called Anansi Boys. Wow. And it's in one of the what's his name? Neil Gaiman series. He's done Bad Omen, Good Omen. There's just loads of things that he's done, and it's his books.
Wow! So congratulations on that. Yeah, but I do know that if most people know you by that advert, that Christmas advert, and what was that?
It was in 2018. It was the Christmas advert for Sainsbury's. I was the mum in the audience, and my daughter was on stage, and she was dressed in a star. Everybody, if you watch TV, and at Christmas at that time, all the reviews was about the plug, the little boy that was the plug, and he ran and he jumped into the plug. As much as there were good reviews, there were bad reviews, because I think there were a lot of complaints to the ombudsman.
Oh, about the boy being plugged in and the message.
children will start to play with plugs.
Oh,
I don't know. So yeah, I think at some point
was that your biggest role then?
That was the first thing that I did. That was the first thing after coming out of drama school. Yeah. That was the first thing I did. And I feel like it was a blessing from above because my mum had died not long before that. And then I'd gone for her to bury her. So we took her back home to the West Indies. And when I got back, literally within a matter of weeks, I auditioned for that and got that role. So yeah, that was my mum's. That was a blessing from my mum.
It feels like a blessing because
it was.
You was going through a lot there.
Yeah, so
How did you feel to actually land a job, and was you nervous in terms of showing up? How did you deal with? Did you get imposter syndrome? Because I know that some of the actors that I've kind of worked with over the years and creatives often might get imposter syndromes. They can start to self-doubt and worry about, whether or not they're up for the job.
No.
Really?
No. I mean, I think I downplayed my role, to be fair.
Why did you do
that? I mean, I remember when I was going for my fitting and stuff like that, I was really looked after. And you are looked after, they come for you in a car and stuff like that. Yeah, quite nice, but I've never felt like I'm an imposter. I know that.
What's the difference between, sorry for cutting you, what's the difference between then downplaying your role and are you downplaying your role because you're feeling humble?
Yeah.
In what you're doing, or are you? Because I know, like in the Caribbean, people don't talk their business; and they keep it quite private.
Yeah.
Is it related to kind of messagings from when you were growing up, or?
Yeah. I mean, you don't blow your own trumpet, really, and plus, probably because I wasn't really aware of how featured I would be, because there were several of us that went in on that day and they were all cut, bar me.
Oh, so they shot lots of different...
So many shots, but the one shot that they knew they were going to keep, because obviously this little girl, this star...
Yeah.
They were not cutting her. She was the main feature on this advert. And, the mother, it was just nice, because they even auditioned for a husband as well. And then he didn't turn up on the day of the shoot.
So what happened to him then? He was off.
They cut him, yeah. They cut him.
Really? Okay. So you then became...
So then I was a mother on my own.
Oh, I suppose they don't tell you the backstory, do they?
I was a mother on my own, and then I had a son, and then his friend. But then, as well, they showed a little bit of the son, but people didn't realise he was my son. Some of them thought it was my boyfriend or whatever. But it was probably, yeah. And it was me and this little girl, and then all the other little kiddies up there.
What would your mum have said? What would mummy have said to you about you being an actor?
I don't know.
Because she didn't get to see you get your first gig, I
think she'd have been proud.
Really?
Yeah, I think she would have been proud. I don't think she would have probably understood it, that from coming from her generation and just, you know what I mean?
What makes you say that then? What is it about her generation?
Her generation, your profession, you're a doctor, you're a nurse, you're a teacher, you're an accountant. That's her generation. My generation, my son is a creative. like me. You know, I knew I was a creative, but I didn't know how to propel it when I was younger. I probably didn't have the support that I would have needed to go or step into, you know, being an actor or performing arts of some sort.
I'm listening to you, and I'm also recognizing, you know, that you're a Black actor, and you don't distinguish yourself by saying I'm a Black actor. You say I'm an actor.
I'm an actor.
So how do you embody the experience as a person of color navigating acting spaces? Because there has been kind of feedback over a period of time where there hasn't been a lot of presence with on telly and in commercials and in other spheres where people of colour haven't been taking the lead. I think things have shifted, but I wonder what that meant for you as a Black actor navigating those spaces.
I think, yeah, things have shifted, but then there are things being written, you know, for people of colour, you know. If I don't just like to take a role for the sake of it, if I don't feel like I understand it, or because there are cultural differences as well in terms of if you're going to put or cast someone in a role of someone who is from an ethnic background, and I say to myself that if it's a person who's from an African background, I just feel that there are so many strong African actors out there. I just don't feel that I would do the role justice, right? I'm from the Caribbean. So give me a role which is either British, I'm actually American born, and I do an American accent as well. I was born there and whatever. And I'm from the Caribbean and I do a Caribbean accent. You know, I would go, I've been put up for roles like that.
You feel comfortable as a human, or as an actor, to kind of do roles that you know that you can do justice to, or that you can relate to or embody in a way that you understand.
Absolutely.
So moving forward in terms of, you know, another gig, you secured Sainsbury's and you have a philosophy about how you should work and the reasons why working in a particular way. Secure your next gig. Was there a drought? Did you not ever work, you know, for a long period of time?
It was never like I had multiple in one year. I got that Christmas one. And then the following year, I was in the Ren commercials.
Okay. Yes, I remember that. That went on forever, I think.
Yeah, because when it came out, COVID came. So I was paid so many times. For that commercial, I was paid several times. So that was, you know, and I don't know if I did it that year or the year after, I did a corporate thing for TSB. The corporate stuff are more private and you don't get footage and stuff like that. But then 2022, I would say, was my most eventful, because as well as filming this one that's coming out this year, I was also cast in something else that was supposed to film last year, but last year was just a really strange year. I think I would say for most actors it would have been.
I think so. I think there's been. I think you had the writer's strike, didn't you? And there's lots of things.
Yeah, but it was just so. For me, it was really. It was a dead year last year, and so that filming didn't go ahead, and that was pushed to this year. So God willing, we'll be filming later in the year for that. But go ahead.
I just, there's lots of things that I would just love to kind of talk to you about, and I could spend just really a lot of time kind of focusing, but I'm also mindful that we are coming to an end, and I want you to kind of just think about, you know, what does the future look like? What would you want to say to others who want to embark on a similar journey?
Yeah, I would just like to say that my future looks amazing. I don't see myself giving up. I know that what I am wanting, it's manifesting, and it will come to fruition. And for anybody who is an older actor, whether they're older or younger, but I am specifically speaking to a maturer actor, that you're not too old. You're not too old to just say, you know what, even if you do it in your spare time, do it. Because you will find some release, some happiness. You will find something from it. Because I know that my sons are supportive. My family, my friends are very supportive of this journey that I've taken over these last 10 years. And I know that the next 10 years, it's going to be amazing. So I just want people to be brave and just take a chance. If you want to do it, do it. Don't put an age into it.
So there is something, I'm just taking away from what you're saying. There's something about your belief that you feel really confident about the direction in which your life is going.
Yes.
So there's also something about kind of being surrounded by people who can support you in what you're doing. Yeah. And be brave about kind of taking those steps.
Yeah.
What if people don't? Often we find ourselves not surrounded by people who are supportive in that way. What can those people who are interested in all sorts of pursuits, it could be acting, it could be singing, it could be other things, how would you invite them to be brave?
I think a lot of, for me, start going to theatre productions. It doesn't have to be big theatre productions. It could be like ones where you could get for £10. Get yourself, if you're not, which most people are, onto Instagram and look for casting agents. Look for like production groups, because there are small production groups that put out theatre productions and stuff like that. I found that whenever I feel a little bit low and a little bit despondent, go into a theatre production really helps to pick me up and reminds me why I'm an actor. And especially if it's a really good production. But, you know, it's about networking as well, which I don't do enough of, I keep being told. But networking is really, really important too, especially if you don't have a support group, because within networking, you can meet lots of different people. And that's where you find that odd person. Oh, should we set up a WhatsApp group? Because that's how it starts. Let's set up a WhatsApp group. And that's where you start. And if as well, start going to workshops. Again, just meeting people who are of like mind, because that's the main thing. People who can understand your journey and your struggle, the struggle of the journey. Meet people in these spaces. Find like-minded people. If you're not getting it from your family and friends, because some people don't understand, they don't get it.
No.
You know?
So for you, it's really about surrounding yourself, and there's some practical ways of using social media as a way of navigating those spaces.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jennifer Greenidge, for being on this show, for being curious, for sharing your story and your journey about, your acting. And there is so much more. I feel like I could talk to you all day. And there's so much more I feel that you share, and you do share. And it's a privilege to just be part of your journey, but also privileged to listen to how you've navigated those spaces. So I really appreciate your time, and I really want to thank you for just talking to not only me, but others out there who are just wanting to be curious about doing things differently.